show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions. But not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 5 minutes. Meaning, if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you wait 5 minutes after viewing this stream to enter your comments. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who've already subscribed to the channel. Whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined, I really appreciate your love and continued support. Also want to send a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so already, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch live or catch it on the playback. And before I forget, I also have a much smaller channel called Latina Diaspora, where I discuss issues regarding Latinos in the United States. The link to that channel is in the description. Now, usually I will have open discussion on Friday night, but being that I'm going to be going out tomorrow night and attending a mixer, therefore I'm going to have open discussion tonight. Now, what happens in open discussion? I will express my point of view regarding several topics. And of course, those of you in the audience will have an opportunity to opine regarding anything that's discussed. You may also put a suggestion in the chat, any topic that you want me to cover. I will do my best to comply. If it's something that I don't know a great deal about, I will be transparent and state so. I also want to let everyone know that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and opine regarding the topic at hand, they may do so. However, let me make this perfectly clear. If I never seen you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that no one does anything stupid, which will cause the people of YouTube to take down this stream. So before I begin, let me just state as far as next week's schedule is going to be like. I will be live next week on Monday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night here on the main channel. As far as when I'm going to be on the other channel, I will announce that by Tuesday. Okay. What most likely I'm going to do is a short video with a motivational message. So, with that being said, the first thing I'm going to be talking about is how to approach Gay Pride Month. Now, for some of you who do not know, June has been set aside for Gay Pride to acknowledge the achievements that the LGBTQ community has made. Now, for those of us who are Christians who hold up the biblical viewpoint regarding relationships between a man and a woman and things of a marriage, it's it's an uncomfortable topic, okay? Because the Bible does not speak well regarding the LGBTQ community. However, we're living in a society where there are different lifestyles, there are different philosophies, okay? And we are taught to be tolerant of everyone. It does not mean that we have to accept it. It just means that we need to be tolerant. Okay. But must bear in mind there's certain holidays where certain groups of people do not observe. Okay. Like for example, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't celebrate birthdays, they don't celebrate Christmas. I don't think they acknowledge they make the Pledge of Allegiance. Um, I'm sure that they, if they were here, they will share as far as the reason why. Also, we must bear in mind that, for example, uh, um, because for them, I think the center is Muhammad and Allah. I could be wrong, but okay. And also, those are us who do not observe Halloween, mainly for biblical reasons. Okay. But at the same time, um, we need to be mindful that different societies, the different groups, okay? And while we may disagree with, with how one chooses to live their lifestyle, we need to show proper respect, okay? If we want people to respect us as far as the life choices that we make, we need to reciprocate and do likewise. It does not mean that we agree. It does not mean that we endorse. It says that we're going to be respectful and then we're going to be agreeable when we disagree. Okay. So now the next topic I'm going to be talking about is when to be silent. And you're probably wondering, what the heck does that mean by that? One thing I have, among many things that I have learned um, as a YouTube content creator for almost 4 years, there's a time and a place to speak, and there's a time and a place not to say anything. And one of the things I've tried to, and I see we have Time Funk in the chat. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. And of course, she has her own YouTube channel. So I will ask that you check out her content and consider subscribing to her channel. So with every content creator, you're gonna have haters for whatever reason. In my case, there's a couple of reasons why my haters have issues with me. Part of it is jealousy because, to be successful as a content creator, you need to devote the time and the energy to create content, and you need to do it on a regular basis. Okay. Also, there are people that have issues with you simply because of the people that you choose to associate with. Okay. Now, I cannot control what other people say. However, I control how I'm going to react, and that's a different and that's a different situation altogether. Okay, excuse me. Just with this. So, as I said it before, I control how I'm going to respond. Okay, and it is unfortunate, that you have certain individuals that instead of devoting their time and energy to create content, what they will do is they'll um, cast aspersions, and they will deflect, and they will say things that are not true. Okay, but one thing I do bear in mind is that I have developed a reputation here in these two streets of being a relatively reasonably calm person. I don't seek drama per se. I don't seek wretched behavior. I try to maintain an environment when people are able to express their point of views as they see fit. Okay. Also, I have to bear in mind as well that when it comes to people who are a positive influence, okay, sometimes it bothers them, it irks them for reasons that only they know. So what they try to do, hey, good evening, Noon Checks Tahiti. Thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you having had a wonderful day, and I'm sure you have a wonderful weekend in store. So, but the fact of the matter is, now how do you deal with the haters? It is best not to respond. And speaking about content creators, I mean, we also have another one in Embrace Your Curls. Okay, she's one of our younger, more creative content creators. Okay, but then again, let's keep it real. Compared to some of these people, I'm like Methuselah. But no, but all jokes aside, she also has a great YouTube channel. So I'm gonna ask that you show some love, check out her content, and consider subscribing to her channel. Also, people are going to hate because of the fact that you are cool with certain individuals for whatever reason. One thing I have learned is that if you don't have something positive to say about a person, don't say anything at all. You're quite welcome to embrace your cross. Okay. And they want to solicit uh, a response from you. So they'll make false accusations, they will deflect, uh, they will call you anything but a child of God, okay? And all for the express purpose of trying to elicit an emotional response. So, how do you deal with these individuals? Do not respond, okay? Ignore them, okay? Because when you're dealing with individuals They try to elicit a response. They try to get attention. The worst thing you can do to them is to ignore them. Okay. Now, I have been fortunate because I haven't had to deal with too many trolls, too many people, negative people try to invade this platform. There have been times, however, people have, that hurt people had tried, and my philosophy is simple: if you do not abide by my rules, you do not gain access to to the panel. You do not gain access to the people in the chat. And if I see anyone acting appropriate in the backstage, guess what? You will be removed the first time. And if you try to return, you will be banned. Now, I have banned a couple people. It's not something I like to do, but it's something that it's necessary. Okay, because what certain individuals love to do is create havoc. What certain people love to do is to create trauma. Okay. Now, if you want to create drama on your own platform, go ahead, knock yourself out. Okay. But do not bring your drama, do not bring your ish to this platform. Okay. And one thing is to bear in mind, I don't have a lot of rules. Okay. But the rules I have are the following: mutual respect towards everyone that's on the panel or on the chat. Now, there'll be times that people will have different points of view. There'll be times that we're going to disagree, and that is okay. Okay? Because this is not an echo chamber. I don't expect my supporters to follow me blindly and agree with me 100%. But I do hope that my supporters will think for themselves and analyze what's being said. And then they will determine how to process the words that's being spoken. Also, one thing I will be doing is when I'm on other platforms, I'm not going to be mentioning my YouTube channel. Okay. I might do it once in a while on the channels of my supporters, but in a general, I mean, it's not necessary. And at this point, I think people know that I come on the air regularly, 3 to 4 times a week with lives, and then every day I do a short. So there's plenty of content out there so people can discover for themselves. Now, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is people to avoid. Now, I'm not going to specify anyone in particular. What I'm going to do is I'm going to speak in general terms. The people that I intend to avoid are those individuals who hop on multiple platforms in order to create drama, in order to elicit a response, usually a negative response. Okay, because to them, as long as people are talking about them, as long as people are focusing on them, they're perfectly happy. Okay. And again, I cannot control how what other people say. I control how I'm going to respond. Okay. Because, okay, people love attention, whether it be good attention, whether it be bad attention, as long as they're getting attention. Because unfortunately, with some of these people, it's like an addiction. It is like a drug. It is like, uh, they need that fix of attention for, why? Uh, you know what? I have no, okay, I have no idea. And really, it is not my place to try to speculate on why people do what they do. Okay. I have plenty of other things to consider. I have other issues to deal with. So I really do not want to expand my time and energy speculating on why people do what they do. Okay. Especially if it doesn't affect me. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about, of course, Sunday is the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Okay. So it's a time of the year that fellow Puerto Ricans like myself, whether it be those that were born on the island or those who were born here in the United States, to show our pride in being Puerto Ricans. And of course, we're going to listen to a lot of music. And of course, we're going to march. Okay. And we're going to fly our flags and things of nature and show pride, just like it is in every other ethnic parade. Whether it be St. Patrick's Day here in New York, whether it be you know Columbus Day. Um, we have so many ethnic parades. I don't want to stop mentioning them because I know I'm gonna miss one and someone will get upset. But let's just say we have multiple parades. Okay. And of course, it's an opportunity for multiple groups to show their pride and who they are, including the LGBTQ community, who has the Gay Pride Parade. Now, if you ask me when is it, I really couldn't tell you. All I know is in June. So, really, I think it's the last Sunday in June, but I could be wrong. Now, the last 2 years, I have been blessed to be able to get a ticket in the VIP section where I'm able to sit down, watch the parade, and just embrace the culture and embrace the sun. This year, I plan to march. Couple of reasons. Number one, I want to march. Number two, those VIP tickets are very hard to come by, and I want to give other people an opportunity to sit in the VIP section. Okay. Particularly those of them who are not physically fit to walk the entire length of the parade, which is, if I'm not mistaken, starting at 46th Street and Fifth Avenue, and it goes all the way to 72nd Street. So we're talking about a good 26, 27 blocks. Um, Now, people might think it's a lot, but we have to bear in mind that the parade stops at several points. Okay, mainly because as far as allowing the crosstown traffic to proceed, and a huge shout out to the people who are viewing this live. And just to let everybody know, those who are coming in, uh, this is open discussion where I discuss multiple topics, expressing opinion. Of course, you, the audience, will have an opportunity to opine about anything that's on your mind, and I will do my best to comply. So, what I will be doing is taking some pictures, um, loading it on my social media. Now, when it comes to videos, that could be a problem, okay? Because I don't want to get exit. I don't want to get nicked with community strike for airing videos of other people's content, music, without their permission. So it gets to be a challenge. So I think just for the sake of making sure I don't go against the community guidelines, take some pictures. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is who the shout out. One thing I have done and I will continue to do is the following. Whenever any of my supporters, either come to the chat or maybe hop on the panel, I always make it a point asking the audience to please check out their content and subscribe to their channels. Um, this will be done basically on those other content creators who support me. Okay, and I in turn support them. So it's a mutual thing. Now, whom would I will not shout out? That is pertaining to content creators who do not support me, who do not give me a shout out, okay? Because I don't have a problem giving a shout out to other content creators, but uh, I would appreciate it if they do the same thing to me, just to be reciprocal. Now, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is my Father's Day reflections. Now, unfortunately, Father's Day is not as doesn't come across as big a holiday as Mother's Day. Okay, but one thing we do need to acknowledge, and we do need to shout out all the responsible men that have been a positive male parental figure. Okay, and this is applicable to biological fathers, adopted fathers, grandfathers, uncles, cousins, or older siblings. Basically, any male that's been a positive male influence. Okay. Now, part of the problem is, unfortunately, is that we have a lot of single parents. Um, there are some single parents that are men, but the majority are women. And one thing we have to bear in mind that not everyone became a single mom the same way. There are some women that unfortunately their husbands or the father of their children passed away. Okay, so out of necessity, they have to be the mother and the father for their children. And also, we need to take into account, unfortunately, there are some women who have been the victims of domestic, those who've been essayed, those who've been abused, whether it be physical, financial, emotional, sexual. Um, so we have to. So I know we're living in a day where it seems like single father when fatherhood is not exactly acknowledged. One thing we have to bear in mind that for the responsible men that go out every day and work hard and sacrifice their own happiness, so therefore their children are taken care of, and to provide a roof over their heads and bills paid, and be the be the no, the responsible adult in the home. And also, we need to bear in mind. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. Tonight's topic is open discussion. Also, we need to bear in mind that Father's Day for many people is very bittersweet due to the fact that their fathers have passed away. Okay. And also, we need to bear in mind that there are some people who do not have a positive experience with their fathers, and it could be anything. One of the things I have always advocated and asked, and really, and I will continue to do so, is that if you're having issues with your father, if you've been estranged from your father, if you can, try to be reconciled. Okay, at least this way, that if you try and your father doesn't want to be reconciled, at least you made the effort. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, look, there are some. I mean, there are some people that unfortunately have been abused by their fathers, and even worse. That's right. Follow, hit the like people. It's not going to hurt you, and it does help with the algorithm. And then there are those whose fathers have passed away. Okay. So for those who do not have their fathers, and those who never knew their fathers, this is a very bitter time. Yep. Sad but true. Sad but true. And for those whose fathers have passed away, um, there's really nothing that I can say that can take away their pain, take away their grief and their pain. Um, one thing I will tell you, that as long as you have good memories, of your fathers, they will forever live in your hearts. Okay. And sometimes, believe it or not, it could be a generational curse. I mean, you know, maybe your grandfather didn't express love to his father, and then his father did the same thing. Because one thing we have to bear in mind that hurt people. And what do I mean by that? I mean people who have gone through emotional trauma or a disappointment where they were never able to get past. So unfortunately, you have individuals who have been hurt and their moral compass has been damaged or perhaps destroyed completely. So to those people, Father's Day could be a painful memory. Okay. But one thing I do believe, um, get therapy to deal with some of those issues that you have with having a father that didn't love you, or maybe you never knew who was your father. Because unfortunately, we have to accept the fact that there's some people who abandon their families. Okay. Because they weren't ready, or they didn't like the maturity, or whatever reason. You do have dudes that do walk out on the mother of their children and their children. And the children suffer because of it. Because then there's a void, and then sometimes they will blame themselves. Now, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is like what I call reading the room. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is the following. It helps if you are the type of person that's very observant. And before you hop on the panel and express your point of view, take a look at what's the interaction with people. And if there's a lot of like drama, a lot of going back and forth, arguing, swearing, you need to decide for yourself whether or not it's worth your time and energy to get involved in that environment. Because again, we cannot control what people say. We control how we're going to respond. And it's a big difference. Okay. And of course, everyone can just yell and just carry on and argue with the ops and things of that nature. But in reality, the best thing to do is just let them be. And if they want to act like a complete jackass, by all means doing so. So reading room is just basically being observant in the surroundings and how things going. So there's a few more topics I want to talk about. One of them is vetting. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is do not cast your judgments based on what people say or don't say. And also regarding, um, like for example, if they want to go away all the time and things of that nature because they have what's called seniority in the job and things of that nature. Um, there's certain people left left alone. Basically, those who are people who just love to exploit animals like the dogs and cats and the fish and the mice and things of that nature. Now, I think people at most to get around the ground is for food and for protection. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the main reason. But what I find ironic that they can't. I'm talking. Let me just get my thoughts. Excuse me. When we go from different platforms and we interact with other people, other content creators, we need to be mindful on what others say, okay, and what other people do. And there might be certain people to avoid. So when it comes to people that you don't know, pay close attention. Observe how they act. Observe how they respond. That will that will give you a clue as far as who to approach, particularly these YouTube streets, and who to avoid, like the plague. Now, speaking about avoid, there's going to be certain topics that I'm going to try to avoid. Mainly, one of them when it comes to do with racial issues. And the reason why for that, because those type of issues elicit a great deal of emotion. And people don't always know how to interact. Good evening, Femi. Thank you very much for stopping by. Um, Tonight I'm having open discussion, so I am sharing my thoughts regarding several topics. And of course, you are free to drop, to share whatever topics you want me to talk. Right now, I'm sharing the certain topics which I would prefer to avoid. One of them has to do with racial issues, and I'm going to explain to you why. Not everyone can discuss those topics with with maturity. Not everyone can say this without getting emotional. And of course, uh, people will have different viewpoints. Okay. And as I said it before, and I will repeat it again, uh, this is not an echo chamber here. People are allowed to express different points of view. We can disagree and we can be agreeable when we disagree. The problem when it comes to racial issues, people get emotional, and there's certain individuals that are not tolerant when it comes to other points of view. And next thing you know it, people are arguing, People are going back and forth. People are calling each other everything but a child of God. And that, of course, will lead me to having to try to change the topic because I don't want it to go downhill. Uh, 2 years ago, I think it was, there was a stream that I did which lasted almost 5 hours. And several members of the panel were basically arguing with each other, going back and forth. And it's like, I don't need that. I don't need another repeat performance of that. And the sad part is that out of all my lives, that one was the one that got the most attention. And it actually got almost 600 views because people love um, to go back and forth and argue and things of that nature. Another thing, I'm going to try to limit the so-called gender war. Okay. The reason why, look, is that I recognize the fact that we all look at things different. I also recognize the fact that when it comes to gender wars, there's certain topics they talk about, and there's certain um, viewpoints that get discussed quite a bit. Usually talking about the flaws of the opposite sex. And that's something that I really don't want to get involved with because it does. I mean, because basically what happened is you got people getting upset, you have people carrying on, you have people cursing each other out, and I don't need that. And I see here we also have Alexander Brandon. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I really appreciate you sharing a couple of my streams. And of course, Alexander does have a YouTube channel, and as well as Femi. So I would suggest that you check out their content, and if you enjoy their content, subscribe to their channels as well. So the gender wars definitely I'm going to try to avoid. Um, when it comes, another thing I'm going to try to avoid. I'm not going to say avoid, but just be mindful, be careful about when it comes to issue with the manosphere. Now, I do not consider myself a part of the manosphere. And the reason why part of it, because it does have a negative connotation. What I do see is the following. That both sexes need to make responsible choices when it comes to not just regarding dating, not just regarding who they're going to marry, but how they interact with each other. Okay? Because the problem is people like to say that one gender is more persuasive, but no, more the case where people are making wrong choices, and then it goes back and forth. And I think it's correct to say that both sexes have made poor choices when it comes to dating, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationships to pursue, and of course, having children. Okay. And unfortunately, when people don't think, the ones that always suffer is the children because they didn't ask to be born. They didn't ask to be involved, in a toxic relationship. It's just unfortunately, um, they came into being because some people made poor choices. Okay. And I'm not saying women are more apt to do so. I'm not saying men are more apt to do so. What I'm saying is both sexes have done so. So when it comes to the manosphere, I mean, I just don't want it to go way left or what have you. And another thing, and I know there's certain individuals that demonize feminism. Now, one thing this is something that I have said before, and I'm going to continue to say. Feminism, in its original form, address many of the inequities that women have to deal with. Okay? Let's remember, women couldn't vote, women couldn't own property, women couldn't pursue certain careers, women did not have full autonomy when it comes to their bodies. Okay? It was as late as 50 years ago when a husband can legally essay his wife, and the wife could not do anything because the notion was that how is it that you can charge a man of essay when he's engaging in a sexual encounter with his spouse? One thing we have learned, okay, some of us at least, when a woman says no, it is no to intercourse. It does not mean maybe. It does not mean control. It does not mean threaten. Okay? It means it's respecting a woman's right to engage or not engage. So there's certain topics I'm going to avoid. Certain topics I'm going to try to tread more lightly. Particularly when it comes to racial issues where I really don't know anything about, I'm not even going to talk. I'm not even going to approach the subject. Now I just have one or two more things I want to do. I want to talk about. One of them is conflict resolutions. Now, from time to time, people are going to have disagreements. People are going to have arguments. People are going to do things that are going to annoy the heck out of somebody. And there's going to be times where I'm going to make poor choices regarding my words or regarding my actions. What I expect and what I hope for that for those who actually have access to me either through my email or through my cell phone, if I did something to offend you, if I did something to annoy you, talk to me offline. Okay. First of all, I am able to take full accountability for my actions. I have done so on several occasions, and I will continue to do so. But what really bothers me is that someone is aware of what I'm doing is inappropriate. And that person, okay, and that person has as means to communicate with me privately, whether it be my cell phone, whether it be my email, or whether it be Discord. But when you decide not to speak to me in private regarding anything that you maintain that I did was offensive, it leaves a very subtle taste in my mouth, and it leaves a negative impression. And let me make this perfectly clear. I don't claim to be infallible. I don't claim to be perfect. As long as I have a human body, I'm going to miss the mark, which is another way of saying sin. That's the reality. But I prefer, when it comes to serious discussions about, of a very sensitive nature, have it offline. You don't need to be discussing it in YouTube and make it become fodder for the haters come and opine regarding, oh, this person says so and so, this person says so and so. So let's go to their channel and create havoc. So for that reason, why, if for some reason you perceive I did something wrong, discuss it with me in private. Okay. I can deal with accountability. I can deal with people bringing to my attention things that I'm doing wrong. But waiting until it's out in the open, that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. I've said what I needed to say. Of course, the audience is more than welcome to express, any topics they want me to discuss, or perhaps or perhaps they may be inclined to join me in the panel for a few words. Okay. Now I know that there's certain persons that do not join other panels for reasons. Many of them are shed light to them. So if people don't feel comfortable hitting the link and joining the panel, I get it. It's okay. That's why I prepare notes so I can at least share some interesting information. So, and I really am looking forward to this Sunday's parade. Okay. I don't think I'll. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is the Saturday before the parade, there's always this huge block party in my own neighborhood where they'll set up a huge stages and they'll have different Latin performers sing and things of that nature. And it attracts thousands of people. The problem is sometimes it also attracts people who go there to create trouble. And of course, when you have like thousands of people out, coming, you have to make sure that people don't go into the building and urinate and defecate in the hallway. Because the reality is this: when you have thousands of people gathered, basically in a huge block party with music involved, people are going to eat, people are going to consume alcohol, which means people are going to have to go and relieve themselves by urinating. All I can say is hopefully they have enough portable bathrooms for all those people because it would not be a pleasant sight. So now I do believe Miss Elite is on tonight. I also believe that other people. So I can no, I kind of suspect it's not going to be a great deal of attraction activity, but that's okay. That's okay. And at this point, I think I have said everything that I wanted to say, and I don't see anyone wishing to share a topic that they want me to discuss. But in any case, I do enjoy my audience. Okay. To me, this is a labor of love every week to do lives and to do shorts and just to express information and things of that nature. And let me just give you with my final thoughts. Uh, you cannot control what other people say. You control how you're going to react. That's the reality. And with that, I just want to say I really appreciate all the people in the chat. I really appreciate the people in the clouds, even the haters, and of course, if you find this message to be positive, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Consider subscribing, and I'm going to close the same way that I always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, saying good night, take care, enjoy your weekend, and before I go, let me check and see if anybody else. Okay. So take care and peace.